Ladies and gentlemen, we're live inside for the last time, and this is the workshop. You've just seen some of the beautiful sights that we've been looking around here in Toulouse. It really is a beautiful city. It's the fourth largest city in France, and it's the fastest expanding city. And when you come here and you see the mixture of the old and the new, you can understand why. Now, today is very special because now we have a workshop. There's nobody else on stage, just me. I'm here, but out in the audience, we have all the delegates who've arrived from all over the world. Over the past 2 days, they've been listening to the discussions. Some of the arguments they agree with, some of them they disagree with, and they've made their points known. But now I'm going to ask them to say, where do we go from here? I don't want anybody to come on stage or to say from down there, oh, why don't we do this? I don't want people who are going to moan. I don't mind moaners, as long as they come up with their suggestion about how we should remedy this. So this is now your turn to say your whatever you want to about the future of Arab racing, about the sponsorship, the marketing, the breeding, the whatever you want to say. But I don't want you to sit there and say, when you go home from here after the races tomorrow and say, oh, I didn't like that. Don't do that. I want you to use me as a punch bag. Not literally, but I want you to come and say, why don't we do this? This is how we can do it. So we have our two girls with our microphones here. Please put your hand up, anything you want to say. And remember, we are going live around the world. So is there anybody who would like to start and ask any sort of question? And if you ask a question, I promise we will try and give you an answer. It was very interesting about the ladies. Should we have a special ladies area? And it was sort of 50-50. That was surprising. But it was emphatic about should we race horses as 3-year-olds rather than 2-year-olds. And it was 90-odd% in favor of racing not before they're 3-year-olds. And yet, 10 years ago, the British vets came out in the thoroughbred world and said, if you race horses as 2-year-olds, their legs will be stronger than if you leave them in a field and race them as 3-year-olds. Now, thoroughbreds might be entirely different from purebred Arabians, but there are a few little things that I picked up along the way that you might like to comment on. So where would the first question be coming from? Who wants to say anything they want to say? Bounce it off us, I'll bounce it back to you. But don't sit there and say, oh, I'm not going to say anything. This gentleman here wants to say something. Sir, tell us who you are and what you'd like to say.
My name is Kamal. I'm breed Arabians.
Yep.
Now, just the first question is, are we discussing things or we're going to take action?
We're going to take action.
Do we have teeth to take action?
We have.
Okay, then the first thing is support the small breeders. The small breeders are paying from their own pockets. They are trying their best to get the best stallions, where the big breeders have the top stallions.
Can I just ask you a question?
Let the big breeders give us their stallions because they don't need the money.
Listen, I hear what you're saying. Stay standing up. But hang on. Yeah. If I can't afford to buy a Mercedes, I don't buy a Mercedes. I buy a smaller car.
You're trying to promote Arabians and you want more breeders, because if we say we cannot afford to, then we shouldn't be here. We're trying to promote the sports to be, you know, available for everybody. So it's not communistic basis. France here, they buy the stallions and they give it to their breeders. Here, France, they support their breeders. They support the breeders. If they sell the horse, you're subsidized. If your horse wins, you're subsidized. If you transport, it's not communists. It's aiding and helping.
No, it's a very good point.
Yeah.
So, sir, I hear what you're saying. You want support. Where is this support going to come from?
Stallions.
Explain.
The top stallions are with the big breeders. The breeders that, you know, at the end of the day, do we need the sport? You know, we have to all compete at even level, right?
Agreed.
Exactly. You do not want to have Coolmore winning everything. We need everybody to have a chance winning, right? If you open the stallions to everybody, or as the minimum fee for everybody, we'll have fair chances, all of us.
So you are saying, sir, can I just ask a question? Are you saying that the top breeders should reduce the cost of their top stallions?
The fees.
the
Yes,
fees.
absolutely.
But the problem is, if I own that top stallion, I want to try and make as much money out of that stallion as I possibly can. Because the more successful the stallion you are, the more money you'll get in revenue, but that's surely the way the world goes round.
So absolutely. So it's the sponsor is the one who wants to win everything. So he doesn't want anybody else to win. We're just there as, you know.
Don't worry. It's a lovely comment, Dad, and I thank you, and I hear what you're saying. I'm not in any way responding, I'm just trying to get you to come out and say.
That's why I asked, do we have teeth?
Could we subsidize, Lara, come and join. Could we subsidize the smaller breeder? This is what we're saying. And a lot of people say, of course we can help the smaller breeder in any way, but of course the top breeders started as smaller breeders. And we love the small breeders. That's what it is all about. Can we subsidize smaller breeders? Can we reduce the cost of our stallions?
Can I change microphone?
No, you can't.
Because I love Abu Dhabi.
Oh.
Okay, the small breeders has something very important. All breeders in the world, you are all facing the same issue. In UAE, they need more races. In the world, they need to be supported. We had a small issue in the US last year. You have problem of insurance. Did you solve it, Kathy? Insurance, is it solved?
Yeah, it's solved. The Americans are nodding yes.
Great. Sorry? Okay, Sam. Take the microphone.
This is Sam Vasquez.
Sam Vasquez from California.
Yes, it was solved. It was taken care of.
Great. This is good news because today when we sponsor 4 races in California, we know very well that the breeders and small breeders will put some horses in our races. And eventually this will push us more and others to come and support more races in the US. Because when you take so much load, sometimes you say where we're going. You pay the race money, and then you have to pay insurance to support them to come and join the races. Yes. This is
I hear what you're saying. By the way, while we're talking of America and just taking this point further, if you don't mind, it's very interesting, and we were joking earlier on, but this is a very good point. Big fella, just tell us exactly, give this gentleman a microphone, because it's very interesting. When we were in America, when we were in Houston, when we went to the racetrack there, they had 20,000 people, and it was interesting. They have 1,500 TV monitors at this racecourse, yes, which are purely for betting.
That's with Texas.
But this guy here had 20,000 people, which is almost a record. And just tell us why, because we were joking, but how important is it to have a thing like a camel race where the leading camel was called Kamala Anderson?
Well, I think you like the name better than most, Eric. But
I had to yeah. But how important? We joke about it, but you got 20,000.
Well, we were talking earlier about engaging a younger generation, and we attempt in Houston to come up with a lot of creative promotions that will do just that. So we had ostrich and camel races. The ostriches have a weight limit, so our jockeys had to ride them. But the camels, as you know, they can hold more weight. So what we did is we engaged the media, and there were 4 camels. So one radio station, TV station, newspaper, and online promoted it for us because they were all excited about the camels. And it got a lot of promotion, and we had 20,000 people come out. And most importantly, they're new customers and hopefully repeat customers, or at the very least, they'll come back to see the same promotion next year. But we try and do other things on a weekly basis. For example, we'll have a 50-cent beer or $1.50 wine night. So we're competing with dinner and a movie. It's come out, have a date, come out for dinner and the races, or come out with a group of friends. And again, the price point of the less expensive drinks, as well as you know, we lower the general admission price on that night. Hopefully, will bring some of those younger consumers out.
It's very interesting that a lot of people say, why have an ostrich race? Why have a camel race? That's silly things. And yes, it is, but it might raise a bit of money for charity. But it got 20,000 people there, and 20,000 were watching our races, weren't they?
Yes, of course. This is why it's very important when we said that when we want to choose races, Arabian races, we, the Festival of His Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Global Festival, we make sure that our races are in the biggest thoroughbred races. That's why we need attention. And at the end of the day, we do not pay the extra thoroughbred race. We just enter, pay our race money, support the racetrack, and go.
And also, one of the interesting things you've done this week is the fact that we went to Galerie Lafayette last night, which was incredible, but also the people who bought things there this week will be coming to the races tomorrow, and we're going to pick 5 to come for a holiday in Abu Dhabi. What an incentive that is to come racing.
Yes, Lafayette has never done this before, ever. And this is the first partnership ever that has been done with the Festival of His Highness Sheikh Mansour Festival. The most important thing is that when you are outside your country and you have sponsors, international sponsors, which I can answer Sheikh Khalifa Al-Hamid about this, pretty much sure that when you have international sponsors coming to you the last minute and they want to get involved, this means all of you guys are here for a reason, and it's the Arabian horse. It's the Festival of Sheikh Mansour who's trying under his vision. The vision of His Highness is that you are all together, talking to each other, but coming up with a solution. Do not hate each other. Love each other. Oh. Love the Arabian horse. All right. Thank you.
That was very nice. I love the way you get on to love. But this is what we want. We want to take it further. Big fella from Sweden, what's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, the topic of getting younger people involved in racing has been raised many times. I think actually Arabian racing is reaching younger people. If you look at the WATBA races in Northern Europe, look at trainers like Diana Durenberg. Yeah. Look at all the young girls who are riding there. For all of those 12 international girls that are coming, they are young girls that attract young people. It is actually a very youthful event, and Arabian racing does not have the, so to speak, old money tradition with lords and ladies. It is young people who can start off by buying a horse at a couple of €1,000, get a trainer license, and start that way. Arabian racing, I think, in Europe, I know that it's different in France and the Middle East, is actually a sport for enthusiasts. I would also like to follow up on Wayne's thoughts about doing, so to speak, unorthodox things. Yesterday, I was here, and in Sweden, we've had problems getting people to the race courses. So what was done was that we made a makeshift race course in the center of Stockholm, a small race course that was built for one day, our national day, and 50,000 people came.
50,000?
50,000 people, and they came, and that was young families. Basically, every young person in Stockholm was there having picnic yesterday.
So what you're saying, if we had a race around the Central Park in Abu Dhabi...
Well, I would say Hyde Park, London.
Or Hyde Park, London.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
But it's those kinds of things I think is quite important.
But let's be very serious here. Okay? It's nice to give just ideas, but we need to be very realistic about the idea. The realistic thing is that first it comes from us to be together.
Of course. No, I was just filling up on
One hand
Wayne's.
does not clap, needs 2 hands to clap.
That's a good line.
Then we go for the bigger one.
That is a very good line.
We need to sit...
True.
Okay, we're talking here about an event in Stockholm. But let's say we were in Newbury this year. We had thousands of people there. We are very proud to be there because we initially put the race in a big race day. When we were with Sam Houston Park, we put that race inside a big thoroughbred race day, and they had the camel race. So this is how we need to think. We need to think how maybe we think differently because we have a vision and support from His Highness Sheikh Mansour to put us on the right path. His direction is to make sure always the races to be integrated inside a big race day. And this is how we started. We started and now we are here. But the most important thing is that let's, guys, think what is happening today. Do not be realistic and start to think, okay, we can do and talk till tomorrow, but you know, it's very important. We need to do something. Yeah. Because I remember Mr. Ali Al-Haddad said last year, we came to recommendations and from this conference in Berlin, and nothing was happened. We asked IFAR, we want to do a record. We do not have a record, isn't it? We said, and we didn't do anything. We suggested to Jenny Haynes, we will support it. Then she comes up, Jenny tried to do the best, but it's a big amount of money to do this. This is the most important thing. If every country does something and come to one base, solid unity, then we can do something for it and make a very good database like the thoroughbreds have. But we cannot do everything for all of us.
Also, can I just take a stage further while we're passing the microphone over? Every year at Newbury, we have the Sheikh Hamdan annual race day where we have 4 grade 1s, all purebred Arabian. And this year it's going to be a twilight meet. It's going to be starting around about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're talking about putting a group on after racing. Now it's free to get in, and it's a very interesting sponsorship deal, this. They make it free to get in. So when you walk in, you get a goodie bag full of Sheikh Hamdan Shadwell stud. You get a cap, you get a t-shirt, you get an umbrella. So it attracts a crowd of 25,000. So if anybody's thinking of sponsoring a day's racing, you know, we've got some of the big sponsors in the world here, Emirates, Sheikh Mansour, that might be a different way of doing it. If you've got any ideas on how to sponsor, instead of just putting on a £100,000 race, the backup is so important. So when people go home from the race meeting, they remember the name of the sponsor for the rest of the time.
Yes.
Now, sir.
Bonjour, Jean-François Bernard.
Jean-François Bernard, trainer in France. I would like to go back to the question that was asked yesterday that I answered favorably, knowingly, if I agreed with running 2-year-old pure Arabian horses. The question was not whether I agreed, but I said the question was more if we proposed the races for 2-year-olds, would I run them? Obviously, I would adapt to the program, and I said if the program proposed races for 2-year-olds, for Arabian 2-year-olds, of course my role as a trainer, as the holder of the interest of owners that trust me with their horses and pay me for looking after them, pay me quite rather expensively. In fact, it would be my role to use these programs, and now I don't pretend to be able to set up a program, and I'd give this task to people much smarter than myself, and I would be favorable to the condition that the program would propose races for 2-year-olds, which would lead to a revolution, more or less, in the way we operate and breed the horses to training. For the answer to be able to know if we could use certain horses rather than others, we have many tests and many ways that would allow us to ruin horses less, because apparently it's a disaster to use younger horses because we do x-rays and tests and to see if the knees are well held before we train them to run. We have a whole bunch of tests that would allow us to know if we have better chance to less damage the horse or more if we run them or train them younger. As I said, this would lead to a revolution, the sales of purebreds. To go back to that, we still have to follow their way of doing. This year, for the first time, the Arcana sales proposes a day of horses that have been selected to eventually run for at 2 years old for pedigrees and models. So for why not for Arabian purebreds or Arabian horses? And the other proposal I want to say, I heard this morning, I heard that gambling was too bad, or betting, and I have to admit that in France, the races are supported by the PME, the betting, and the more we make attractive races, the more people are attracted to play and bet, the more they do bet, and we can definitely not neglect the attractive aspect of the races proposed by the PME in order to bring a certain income. It's obvious that since since I don't know the duration, but since the Arabian races are proposed in premium meats, this supposes that the celebrity jockeys accept to run these horses, ride these horses, and from my information, and owners of companies, especially in the Southwest, when somebody proposes celebrity jockeys racing Arabian horses, the bets do follow, and people totally follow these Arabian races, you know. And so I think that for the promotion and the development of the cause of Arabian horses, we should not neglect or criticize betting in France, because the races in France are more or less the only ones in Europe that still function well, and it's only the betting that allows us the possibility to organize these races. So please, let's not condemn the people who bet, and please encourage them to bet on Arabian races.
That is interesting, isn't it?
Yes, but PMU, of course, there's PMU, there's in UK, the betting houses are there. There are some countries with betting, and there are some countries with no betting. And we're sure that every race makes a race day where there's a betting on that day. You will have big numbers and big number of people involved, because they want to play on the races, and this is why you see a big crowd over there, even in the country, looking at after races. But maybe here it's a good thing for us to ask also in UK, when are we going our races to be on the UK betting houses?
We want that, I hope, very soon.
Because we are doing all our best.
Yes.
There's one point still not done in the UK, is that still our horse races are not on the betting houses.
But that hopefully will change.
Only betting internally in the racetrack, but not on all betting houses.
But I'm very keen, as you know, to make certain that we put that out on Racing UK or at the races.
Maybe Jenny can answer.
Jenny, yes, do you want to, are you in favor of that? By the way, very, very good point. And by the way, there is a betting shop here, the Parimutuel betting shop. If you go the other side of the square from where we are in the center of town, there is the PMU betting shop. Please pop in there, have a look. As long as you're over 18, please go in there and have a look and see how they're doing it. I've been in twice and it's full every time. Jenny, over to you. Oh, Philip, over to you.
Do you mind if I answer on Jenny's behalf? You're absolutely right about the on-course betting turnover, and what we found with the International Arabian Race Day at Newbury Racecourse is that betting turnover on course has increased year on year. Those races are shown in the betting shops, and the single races that are sponsored as part of the Sheikh Mansour series are shown in betting shops as well currently. Where we have the difficulty is with some of the single meetings being shown in betting shops, because the betting organisations tell us that there's not enough form knowledge out there for their customers to have confidence to bet on the races, and that's our difficulty.
Yeah, but Philip, this is not the only, we have to work on it. That's a big problem, because if we or others are spending lots of money in the UK, and we did a big step by introducing the race cards of Arabian owners inside the official newspaper Racing Post. Until now, we also introduced Racing UK to get more involved also. But this is a big thing which UK has to work on it very well. Arrow and others, like for example Newbury and Hereford, which are also two tracks that we run on, and not only us, the others also. And this makes our races more integrated in the world of racing, other than when you say this is out of betting shops. This is not going, we need to do something about this. And this is, we kept it till the end in the workshop to say, okay guys, we really need to work on this. Because next year we want to come and say, well, we've done something for that thing.
And also, just to mention, Philip, just to say, if those people are betting on it in Britain, just imagine if those people in America or South Africa are watching Arabian racing and betting on that, the money that will come back in will certainly do the sport a power of good. You were going to say?
I think it's important to mention that, as you have said earlier, the main subject and the main interest for marketing Arabian races is to have those Arabian racing on the main days of thoroughbred racing. And I believe that the Arabian racing in Europe have completely changed of dimensions from 1994, when we have started to have Arabian racing on the day of the French Derby. And that was sponsored by UAE. And that's at the time, the first time that professional star jockey has been starting to ride in those races. And this is what has brought the success on it. And I think it's very important to mention that on the weekend of the Arc de Triomphe, the second turnover for betting has been the Arabian World Cup.
Wonderful.
So the first turnover for betting is the Arc de Triomphe, but we have on the Sunday, for instance, 7 Group 1 races for thoroughbred. But the second highest turnover of betting has been on the Arabian race, the World Cup.
That is an absolutely incredible statement. Sir, thank you. This gentleman here, sir, what is your question?
Oui, alors justement dans le droit fil des choses.
Yes, in fact, in the same line with what has been said, and in reference to the ambitious program that's been put in place for 4 years, what would be interesting to know, what would be the projection of the program of, say, 2014, 2015, because currently there are 73 races are taken care of by your organization. So we would like to know what are the projections. What was your assessment for additional races in the future? William, it's still too early for next year. Let's finish here and finish all the problems we came here to discuss. So it's very important that we come out of here with one vision, which is to have a clean sport and game, and then you are all together made here for the Arabian horse. Amongst you here, you're all together. But everybody has their own comments and issues. So before we think about the future, we need to conclude here. This conference was put here for all of you by His Excellency Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan, just for you, so you can come out of here with conclusions. The love of Arabian horse, the passion for Arabian horses, and this is why, before we start talking about put in place races for next year, we must say what are the problems that we must resolve today. You're not going to walk out of here before you have a conclusion. The Arabian horse is in good health.
Thank you.
Merci.
There's a lady here. Yes, madam.
I just, first I wanted to say, Lara, thank you so much for the, and to His Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan for this festival. America's been involved from the very beginning, and it has made a huge difference in the United States. I leave these conferences totally energized, and today, probably the most energized from this last panel. Who you brought together on marketing and discussing the future is beyond comparison of any previous. This has been really something that's energized us. Cool. And I just have one request, because I've had a number of texts and emails from the USA. They love the idea of the web camera. It's so great, the live streaming video. However, the Arabic translation overrides any of the panel. So is there any possibility to have maybe English subtitles so they can understand what's going on?
Yes, this is Muhammad Yahya to do it, because actually we have asked it to do this, and still he didn't do it. But make sure that from it's on, but you don't have maybe enough the Arabic written. What is written in Arabic?
It should be going out in English, and I do apologize.
It goes in English.
That should have gone out in English, and we apologize.
This conference.
Since yesterday,
it's in
first
English,
2 days,
but
Europe.
there
It is
are
now
some.
going out in English. It's a very good
It's
point.
always in
This is-
English.
It's
Yes.
so important because
Yesterday it
everybody who
was,
can't
Kathy. It
come here-
started in English.
Okay.
I apologize. That was our fault. But
Yes.
thank you for bringing that up.
It was in English since yesterday. Before yesterday, all the Arabic came on, but yesterday everybody saw it in English, only in English. That's why maybe your friends only saw it that time.
Can I ask-
in the
can I
Arabic.
It's
ask you a
important
question?
that they see all 3 days
Yes.
because every day has so many really, really good topics.
It's
Can I
good.
ask you a question? You know, you were telling me the Americans, you've got more races than Arabian horses. If you started racing them as 2-year-olds and get more horses involved, would that help in any way?
No, I don't think anybody in the U.S. would race a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Shh. We'll come back to you in a second, just to say. Young lady, who is going to ask next? Yes, I've got you.
Maureen Milburn from Australia. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you very much, Lara, for giving us this great opportunity to attend these things. It's so informative. I heard you mention before that there was problems with changes in race dates in Australia. Absolutely agree. We were appalled. It is the thoroughbred industry that does this to us. We have everything arranged and they just pull the plug. Our other problem is in Australia is we have a very, very biased media. It is controlled thoroughly by the thoroughbred industry. I would like to know if there is any way that we can get a journalist from one of our newspapers to actually attend one of these wonderful functions and see for themselves and then take the story back to Australia. You kindly invited Ron Williams from the Ladies in Racing magazine to the Ladies Championship last year.
Wonderful man.
And since then, he has been wonderful. We have had exposure in every edition of his magazine. He is totally passionate about it. But we need now to get this to mainstream media. And I was just wondering if there's any way that we could do this.
This was not only your request, was also Kathy's request. What we will do is that after hearing Kathy and after hearing you, we, of course, will have to ask every single country, not only Australia and the United States, but every single country to integrate 1 or 2 journalists from different media that might be very efficient to all of you to be present here. We took the initiative to have Racing Post here and other newspapers. We have also France 24 and Radio Monte Carlo. We have lots of media inside in this place. We have 360 media covering this conference. They are on every single web TV, tuning on all the conference panels. And we are grateful to what you have said. And of course, we will have to ask you, this is what we do as the Festival of Sheikh Mansour, take the initiative to do this for all of you. And we will have every country, they need to submit who 2 of their journalists or their media that needs to be inside in November in Abu Dhabi. Starting from there, we can say yes to the world because we have Her Highness Sheikh Fatma bint Mubarak Ears Conference for Training and Education. And from there, yes, you are invited, they are invited, and we look forward to having people from your organization who you suggest that they need to come.
I tell you what could be an idea as well. We do have the Australian lady jockey, who's one of the most outstanding horsewomen I've ever seen. But also when we go to Melbourne, this could be an idea for all the top journalists who are going to come that day to put their cards in. We'll pick 2 or 3 out to come with us to Abu Dhabi in November.
But we already did this, dear Tomo.
Yes.
Because we already, in Australia, we have put last year, and we have put also Wasba State Farm. And this year we have also Her Highness Sheikha Fatma bint Mubarak in Caulfield. And I don't know if it's running still on 13th of July. It's good, we have a race. And we have Sheikh Zayed Cup. Thanks, Nikita, for getting involved in this race. And thank you for winning a race.
She's outstanding.
Because winning a race in Her Highness Sheikha Fatma bint Mubarak Ladies World Championship, IFAR, makes us very proud because you are a young woman, very professional, with a number of races in your record. And having you on that panel that day was so good for every single jockey to get your experience. And of course, you can be a jockey that can come to EAR's conference and talk about Australia in November. I think, also, Susanna, you should look into it.
Look into that, Susanna. And also, by the way, can I say that Emirates, of course, fly 4 or 5 times a day to Australia, and we have one of our Emirates, the Australian, would you stand up? One of the ladies who is representing Emirates is Australian, so we love the Australians. They're not very good at cricket. Sir, you have, yes, in the 3rd floor.
Maybe the camera should show the Australian girl.
Yes.
Can you stand up, Ashley?
Ashley, stand up. There she is. Miss
yes.
Australia. That's steady. Yeah, go on then. Well done. Sir, back to you, big fella.
Dr. Lacaze,
Dr. Lacaze, I felt the big availability, both in the room, in the audience, micro, please, with the decision makers and the ambassadors. I felt.
Dr. Lacaze,
the micro, please. I felt the need for you to have a good horse, and I said 2 days ago that I must have a triptych. I had to have the will, the knowledge, and the way. I know I need to talk to you about the 3 parts of ours, which is underlying in this whole conference. 3 things in 2 words. We need the knowledge, the know-how, and the make-it-known aspect. You are looking of making it known aspect, but believe you me, you're in good hands with Lara. She'll take you by the hand. You will succeed with the knowledge of Lara. It's the passion that we all have here. We are all here to finish leaving this room with one conclusion. It's your passion for the Arabian horse. It's the passion of each breeder, the small breeders who are here and others. I didn't even want to tell them their surprise. It's a surprise for all breeders in the world, the little small breeders in the world, but certainly it's a vision of His Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed for all small breeders. But we will mention and we'll tell them what's going to happen this evening at the gala dinner and the awards ceremony, the conference tonight at the Augustin Museum, especially for everybody here tonight. And it's an event that you will all appreciate and remember, and you will all understand the vision of His Highness, who has already given instructions to give you something, but only at this evening. This is for small breeders. Big surprise tonight. And
I think, ladies and gentlemen, that you're all concerned because Sheikh Mansour's instructions aim at helping the breeders, especially small breeders. He wants to support breeders from all over the world, and we will be revealing the surprise tonight.
I will speak about the present, about tomorrow. I wanted to let you know, since you were speaking about the present, the current, and the knowing, I want to note the Sheikh Fatima race, which is the star race, is at the 1315, and there will be more than 1,200,000 euros. 1,200,000 euros will be bet, because it'll be at a high audience time for the TV. We're playing in Madagascar and everywhere, Madagascar, Morocco, and Belgium, and Switzerland. It'll be in all the Francophone countries. It's a 2 to 4 for bettors. The multi and the Quartet Plus will be. So there'll be amounts maybe not even near the truth with 1.2 million. It could be even 1.5 million.
Reach today is to have this.
La Bible du turfiste.
And this
et
is
vous
good.
voyez tous pour demain.
So you will be all there tomorrow.
And I think it's because of all of you. It's because of your passion, as Saeed Al-Hajri, our moderator, has said, your passion to the Arabian horse, your collaboration together and participation to such conferences makes it a good result for a start for today, and I think it's a good news.
That is incredible. Who else would like to ask? Sir, over to you. Oui. Yes, it's you.
Monders Zuiten, MacTurf.
Monders Zuiten, MacTurf, there are some wonderful news. I think that it's very good to be ambitious, but we should also be realistic. And we are advancing. 20 years ago, the Arabian races were very marginal. Today, we're evolving. And we need patience. And as we say in Italian, chi va piano va sano, arriva lontano. Cioè, the person who walks slower reaches slowly, but reaches the destination. So surely, that's what we said before. We need a little patience, and we take things step by step.
I like that, and I hear what you say, but at the same time, you know, when you're driving down a motorway, you like to put your toe down a little bit, don't you? But I hear what you say, yes, I'm totally... Karen, what did you want to ask? You were going to ask me, this is the lady trainer from Holland up here. You're going to ask me about when ladies start racing or something. Here's her question.
Yes, Tomo, I want to, we had a conference yesterday about the lady riders, how to get more ladies into racing, that the trainer are giving more rights to the ladies. We have a filly allowance, you know, of 2 kilos against the colts. And I think when we give the ladies who have less experience in riding Arab horses with less winners, if we give them allowance, I think it would be a possibility for the trainers to give these ladies a chance to ride in the race.
That's interesting. So it's like a filly's allowance for horses.
Yes, I know the idea that she spoke about is something we faced for our race tomorrow, are facing. Yes. Because as you know, there are 2 girls that cannot run. We bought the Irish girl, and I think the other girl, the American girl, because they did not win 5 races.
But they are great horse winners.
Yes, but they couldn't run. This is the conditions of PMU. And this is the conditions of the race. See? It doesn't come only from us. It has to come also, we should know that there are some country regulations that we cannot do anything about. We can help by giving the girls chances to go outside, maybe to other countries to run. And I'm sure one day when they will have 5 wins, which is not difficult to have, and they will be okay to ride in France. And we will give the chance for the 2 girls, the Irish girl and the American girl. They will have points for their countries, as we have informed Susanna. They will have, they will go to Abu Dhabi, and they will be running in Holland because they have the first chance to run as the US and the Irish girl in Holland. Next week race.
Could we also say, the French journalists who are here, perhaps that might be a point that you might like to write about, I don't know, on our behalf. I'm not in any way suggesting what you should write, but it's a very interesting point. Should young, inexperienced girls be given an extra allowance just to give them the experience where they can perhaps ride 5 winners?
Maybe I should ask these questions to Yves Plantin. Yves, maybe you should start by, okay, France Gallo has her own conditions, has its own conditions for the races. Can you give him, please, a mic?
Just have, Suzanne would just like to say a few words.
Okay, one minute, because this is relatively for the race.
Suzanne is wanted. Do you want to respond to this question about the lady? Yes, just quickly. Go, Suzanne.
Okay, thank you. I agree, of course, as you know from yesterday, that we should give a support to the ladies, and I even said that we should give special support. I was thinking the whole evening about this special. What I think, when you, for example, you grow little, you bring up little dogs, and some is very, very weak, you give special attention. So this is also because women are minority in racing, especially in riding racing. So, but once they are adults, they can compete. We should say, well, this is a competition, and they should really compete under the same level. To help to get there. This is something different. And in all the countries we have allowance already, but it's not just defined on ladies or gentlemen or jockeys, female or male jockeys, because they have, if you have only ridden two or three or whatever winners, you get an allowance. And once you had reached, maybe it depends on the country, you have 50 winners, so you don't have the allowance. So this also exists, already exists. But I do not really agree that we should give a special allowance to ladies, so this is not necessary, I think.
So what do you think of yesterday, today, the two girls cannot run? Can you tell me your opinion?
Well, I think, first of all, what I think that we should have got this information before. Then we could have asked the countries to delegate riders who have ridden 5 races, and that would have not been the problem. The communication should be a little bit in this point, that they say, okay, these are the rules of our countries. We have to stick to the rules, of course, and not telling just the day before and say, oh, on the day of the starter declaration. So this is a pity, and I think we will take our actions from this.
Can I have an answer, please, from Veronique Bria? Because Veronique is the director of AFAC.
Yeah, to participate in a premium race in France, you have to have ridden in 5 races. Premium race means you can bet off course, not just on course. That's the rule. France Gallo is very strict about it.
Okay, but
I'm
when
really
we got
sorry.
the conditions, like, for example, you had the papers before the draw. We sent you the papers of the jockeys. Why we were not being informed?
We were late.
Before
we
they
were
had.
informed very late by France Gallo. I mean, it took time for them to check those things, those 12 riders who'd been put forward, you know, by Susanna.
Okay, but maybe here, maybe here this is a situation where we should look after it, maybe for the future, and try to make something with France Gallo in order to accept these kinds of races, like they accept the Fegentry races with their conditions. Maybe it's a point where we need to do something related to this point.
Yes, but you know, it's also a matter of security. I mean, here we are talking about a premium meeting, which means that people can bet all over France or even in foreign countries. That means that we have to have a proper race with proper riders, you know, and they want to make sure that the girls have enough experience, and so that the race will be okay, you know.
Please, Amy, give Susanna the mic.
This is good stuff. We're not having a go at anybody, but this is what the workshop is about. We want your reactions and how to take it forward. Susanna.
Yes, it's no doubt. Security comes first. And I don't mind. Each country has different rules. The only thing is we should know it in advance, not before the starter declaration, before we invite the riders. We should know the bottom weight, so that we say don't send riders with more than, let's say, 57 kilos, so that it is a proper draw and they don't need to struggle, or somebody comes with overweight, because some are really on the level where they cannot lose weight anymore. And the other point is, of course, we say the rules in our country are they must have ridden 5 times. So say we don't send anybody who only rode less than 5 times. This is not really very difficult. And so in future, this would be my hope that all the countries say, this is special for our countries, it's different. Like here, you cannot compete with amateurs and professional lady riders. In other countries they can, so that they know and give the information to Lara in advance, and so that we can work on it. And it is much easier. Thank you.
Yes, very good, Susanna.
She is top class. She works so hard.
Maybe Karen can tell us something about the race in Holland. Do you know the conditions of the race? Because we were not alerted yet.
Okay. Hang on, we'll come back. No, here we go. Go for it.
You mean the...
Yes, our race, Her Highness Sheikha Fatma bint Mubarak in Holland. We have a race on the 23rd.
Yeah,
but we still do not know the conditions so that we do not face the same problems.
Yes, but we don't know the conditions.
Susanna wrote to Holland yesterday. But this is a point that should be ironed out. This brings us back to the universal rules around the world, doesn't it? It's a shame that we're discussing this now, and the two girls, as you say, have come from the other side of the world, and they're top-class horsewomen. Let's go back to you, big fellow. What is your point?
Oui. Alors,
yes, there is an error. There is a code for races in France, so you just need to read it. There's a code for races in Italy, in France, everywhere. As long as you have this code and as long as you read it, it's simple. So there are errors on both sides. We both need to read it.
Martial, peut-être tu es quelqu'un qui...
Martial, you are maybe somebody who knows all the races very well, but there are in and outs of racing, and it's very important that when we organize races, we give the permission for the organizers and for each country who can themselves give the conditions for this race, so then know very well that the jockey the girl must be 60 kilos because she's amateur or professional, but it must be also the knowledge of the organizer in each country. It's their work, their task to give us the conditions, specific conditions for races such as your one.
We've got a question from Owen Sharpie, former champion trainer of Dubai, whose father was former national director of the French stud.
I don't think IFAR has to do this. It has to do with them. It's not all. The ladies' race is not IFAR race. Yes, it is IFAR race support, but it doesn't go under the patent race condition, and that's why.
There's somebody have to read the condition. You sponsor the race, and IFAR is with your sponsor, and they didn't help you or read the information before.
Yeah, but I need to tell you something. It doesn't mean that we are not reading the information. It's every country has to do her job. Because when we come to sponsor money and to bring girls from all over the countries, this is every country to do its own homework in order to make this race a successful race. Not to come to a point where the girls need to go back and sit here, and we feel very bad for these girls because these girls came from US and came from Ireland. It has nothing to do with IFAR. It has to do with the condition of every single organization from IFAR, which we are dealing with.
The IFAR patent races.
No, the patent race has nothing to do with it, Faisal. I'm very sorry.
Faisal, good question. Owen, what is your...
It has nothing to do with it.
I just wanted to come back to what Karen was asking, and I think it's a valid point. Like we have an apprentice races where jockeys who have ridden many races are not getting allowance against jockeys who have not ridden many races. And maybe in these ladies' races, you've got some professional, some who have not ridden many races, and maybe in those races, ladies who have not ridden so many winners should have allowance. That's what I think she was asking.
That's interesting. Right, yeah, we got that point. Sir, back to you again.
I think Jean-Pierre has something.
Yes, I want things to be very clear regarding the patent race. The ladies' race for tomorrow is not among the patent race, and it is not at all under the responsibility of the patent race. It is under the responsibility of AFAC only. And for the patent race, all our races, we are publishing the condition of the race. You have to see our website, and on the website you have the condition of all the patent race in all the country at the beginning of the year until the end of the year.
You are right, because this is the first time we face such a problem.
Thank you.
From the races that we already organized in the world.
I agree.
That's the first time we face such a problem.
There's a gentleman at the back row with a white shirt. Sir, over to you.
Well, Gérard Habibian.
This only confirms the need in a way of standardization of regulations, of race regulations all over the world, so that we don't fall into this trap. I feel very bad for those 2 riders that came from the States and from Ireland not being able to participate in tomorrow's race. I don't want to go on whose fault is on whose fault is not, but in my opinion, should this case come to a panel of legal people, this would be a situation of estoppel, where the organizer should have told the sponsor or whomever is filing the application about the conditions. Whether it reached late or it didn't reach late, it doesn't stop the fact that there have been prejudice, and the prejudice here is the sponsors as well as the riders. And for the sole benefit of the riders and for the race, I think more clarity should be and more standardization should be done in this industry.
Thank you for making that point. Sir, back to you. Madam, it's Ginny. Yes, Ginny, yes.
Jenny Haynes from the Arabian Racing Organisation in the UK. We've just recently had our second Sheikh Fatima race, and I agree, Lara, it's down to the organisation. We have to publish our racing calendar at least a month in advance. The trainers have to have that opportunity to look at those conditions. We talked to Susanna, to obviously Pat Buckley, and to yourself, the sponsor. We need to make sure that those race conditions are approved and everybody is aware of the entry and the declaration stage, and exactly, they might not know the names of the riders or the countries, but certainly, you know, the conditions of the race, and that is, I'm afraid, down to the organisation communicating with the sponsor.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny. By the way, I noticed some people are talking. If you want to talk, please talk later. Come and use the microphone, because this is your session.
This is your workshop,
and we have
and it's
half an hour
office.
to go. 30 minutes, 30 minutes to make your point.
Okay, we will raise the questions, our UAE local breeders. What was your question yesterday? Microphones, please. Stand up, Mr. Khalid Al-Nabouda. Yes, you have a question which was raised yesterday.
Yes,
on some,
about the research.
Yes.
Yes.
No, not on research, on the other question.
Many questions.
There was about the horses. In some countries, it was Faisal who asked the question, maybe?
No, that gentleman, he asked, and
it was you who asked.
The panel.
Yes, that's it. Maybe on the panel there was Jean-Pierre de Gastet. He can answer. Can you please repeat your answer, Kishore?
Thank you, Lara. Kishore Mipuri from Poland. My question was on the panel yesterday when they were making rankings of horses and international, we used the word international rankings. I was concerned over here was because there was a question of an issue of the legibility of the horses. In some countries, the sons of Amr and his grandsons are not legible horses to run. So when we make an international ratings of horses, are we doing it right? I mean, would UAE agree to those ratings where these horses are not eligible to run? So I think first we should come down to the basic situation that we should have horses, all Arabian horses, are they legible or are they illegible? We have to come down to that, and then we'll be able to make a real international rating system where we have only Arabian horses and they're all legible and they all can be rated together.
Maybe Jean-Pierre, you can answer.
This is a very good question, but it does not concern the pattern race committee.
No. Okay. We want an answer.
Okay. It's the pattern race committee is only take care of about the level of the horses. And we are only analyzing the level of the race, the level of the horses. And therefore, for the pattern race committee, we are taking the horses that have been running in the race and all the horses, and we are analyzing without looking at any of their pedigree. This question concerns the condition of the races from every country. And up to now, all the races in all the countries are regulated by WAHO and by the registration of horses with WAHO. And I'm pretty sure that Mrs. Valbunting can answer to us because she is General Secretary of WAHO, and that she can very well tell us that for WAHO condition, all the horses have been accepted for racing since 2004. WAHO has closed the stud completely for all the horses.
So when you stood up, Pat Buckley, Pat, just tell us, why were you being so... Tell us your thoughts, your reaction when you heard this.
As Erwin quite rightly said, it doesn't come under the jurisdiction of the speaker there, yeah? The matter we were discussing.
Right. But he's allowed to make his point.
Yes, of course.
That's why we are here all, Pat.
That's
to
right.
give your thoughts.
Everybody
because
together.
we need to come up with one. We need to go from this room.
Listen,
and
Amher's problems has been going on for a long time. It hasn't been resolved. I know there's countries that have Amher's running, and yet we can't bring any more in. The sale in France, there was, what, 65 horses? There was only 20 that we could have brought to the UAE, because Amher's are not allowed. But why can we still have Amher's running? I don't understand this myself.
Maybe Khalid Nabuda have an answer.
Hang on, yep. Khalid, we'll come back to you. Well done, Pat. That's a good point you raised there. You got it off your chest. Well done. Well done. Do you feel better now? You're going to get an answer. Khalid, answer the man.
No, Val, we need you to talk.
Steady, big fella.
I am one of the breeders in United Arab Emirates, and I used Amher more maybe than anybody. I would like to thank the Sheikh that still they are allowing me to raise his children in United Arab Emirates. But as you know, my aim, it's not only to win in United Arab Emirates, as I am local bred over there. Of course, in the beginning, I want to prove for the world that I can produce a winner. But after that, I need to take that horse. 2 years ago, I was invited in Turkey, and it's an international race. And I was informed, unfortunately, that if I took my filly overseas, she will never enter to United Arab Emirates. And this is sad, I think. I will respect any decision that my country will take, but we want it in writing and declare, because we are spending money. Amr children, each semen, it costs us 120,000 dirham. It's not little money, it's a lot of money. And for the breeder to spend so much money for the future, and after 3 years, I will not be allowed to race, or that horse will be worth nothing, I think it's not fair. For that reason, I will repeat again, I think our Sheikh is very earnest people, and they know the best for us as a breeder, but we need a clear plan. We need a clear picture, and I am accepting any decision that they are taking. Thank you.
Maybe Sheikh Hamad has also something to say, please.
Yes, we have the same problem. Last year I went to cover from Bernisang, and somebody called me and they tell me, don't do that. It is not allowed. So I was really shocked about that. So we need to be clear and picture for all the stallions, and where it is allowed or it is not allowed, but not by taking a telephones and calling the people and stop this, stop this, stop this. No. We need a clear picture of that. We need a letter that's saying that this is no, this is yes. So we can plan our future for breeding the horses, because we are breeding from very expensive horses. We are not spending 1,000 dirham or 2,000 dirhams. In the end of the day, we are spending a lot of money. So we need to understand that.
This is creating an awful lot of passion, this particular question. Thank you for coming on.
We need also from the WAHO to involve in that, because it is very, very important that the WAHO to clear that one.
Val, she is on WAHO board.
Yes, I'm the Secretary of WAHO, so I can answer a few of these questions. All these horses, questionable horses people call them, are actually registered officially and accepted in all WAHO stud books. So they have to be registered by whatever country they're imported to, they have to be registered. However, WAHO has no control at all over racing rules. We don't like it. We always say that any horse that's registered in the stud book should be acceptable to race, but the racing authorities make their own rules, and we have no control over that. But any of these horses, I'm not going to name them, but you all know who they are, they have to be registered and accepted in any stud book that's a member of WAHO.
Okay, are they registered or they're not?
Oh, yes, yes, they're registered, yeah. All of them.
Use the microphone. No need
Can
to
we
shout.
sue the registration office in any country through you as a WAHO?
Sue them?
Yes, if
For
I
what?
bring I breed a mare, Amr, and they didn't register for me Amr in my country or another country. I'm not talking about racing now. You said we don't have any control in racing.
They have to register them. They have to register
they have to. But if they didn't do it, can I sue them?
Well, you can make a complaint.
Complaint?
Yeah.
Through?
Through WAHO. If any horse is refused a registration,
Just come back.
go straight to WAHO.
It's a very passionate point you're making. We understand.
You know what I mean,
He obviously feels.
Yeah. If I have a video code,
Yep.
where can I go? If my
Yes.
own
Good
registration
question.
office,
Good
they
question.
say I cannot register the horse.
Yep.
I cannot sue. I don't want to. I'm not talking about racing or controlling the racing. I'm saying how to register my foal. They said no registration.
Go for it.
You cannot
Good
register.
point.
This horse is not.
Let's get a response. Yes.
I just wanted to say that the United States was one of the last countries in WAHO. It was fought for years, and it really, really hurt the exportation of American horses. And then finally, when America and WAHO and everybody got together, the American Registry said, if a country's horse is registered in WAHO, it is registerable in the United States. The Arabian Jockey Club, even though we aren't part of the registry, we work with our registry, and any horse registered in WAHO will always be allowed to run in the United States. If WAHO says they're not registerable, then we won't register them and they won't race. But if they are in WAHO, the racing authority in the United States says they must be allowed to run, giving the conditions that they meet the, you have to be either come in under a competition visa or get re-registered in the USA. And so obviously other countries, your racing authorities don't work in conjunction with your registration authorities. That's the way I see it.
We've got a gentleman here who's got his stud farm. Sir, what is your response to this particular point?
Good afternoon. First, we thank His Highness Sheikh Mansour for the invitation, and for the input for this. I'm Dr. Walid bin Zayed from Libya, and I'm a breeder, small breeder in France. I would like to know the criteria that is used in banning some horses after they have been used for several years legally in some countries, and then after a sudden they are banned. So what is the criteria of the authorities in that country to ban these horses? Was it based on what? On the results of the horse? So whenever we have a horse, whenever we get a horse who produced champion horses, we have to ban him, and we say this is not a horse which is.
I think you should. Somebody's on the.
It's great stuff, this. Who wants to answer this? Put your hand up. It's all your fault, Pat Buckley. Yes, sorry. Yes, sir. Give him that microphone. To
أمير لو سمحت Yves Plantin.
Give him the microphone. Yes. Give him the microphone. Sir, speak into the microphone. Just gently. Oh, you're standing up. Sir.
The answer is to the same question.
I promise I will come back to you, sir. That is a promise. Sir, he has the microphone. I will come back.
So I think we have to go back to the history of all that. First of all, we were talking about WAHO, but maybe WAHO is not really reliable, because if you take an example like Amr was born in Saudi Arabia, and it was exported without papers. Then it was registered in the Qatar stud book at the age of 8, which is not normal. A horse must be registered in the country of birth. So that's why we cannot always rely on WAHO, because WAHO was not concerned with racing. WAHO was always concerned with showing. And of course the problems come from that, from the beginning. Then there is another problem with a horse called Trek. whose blood type, original blood type didn't match, well, that's another mistake, you know. And we're only talking about facts. We're not talking about records or how good the horse was. But just the process of registration was not proper for Hammer, and the blood type was not right for Tuek. That's all we're talking about. And there are a few other horses like that.
Isetta?
Thank you. The gentleman as well. Sir, I will come back to you. There's a microphone problem at the moment,
please
so
give
bear with me.
Isetta.
Is it just, and I'm coming back to you, the lady in the middle, then I'm coming back to this gentleman here.
Yeah, so there's two stallions that Mr. Plantin has mentioned. At that time, I think, I don't know, Hammer's registration, and especially his acceptation in France, when it was questioned by France Gallo at that time, I think it's 10 years ago or 15 years ago, there used to be a rule of 5 generations of pedigree for horses if they wanted to run in France. There was that criteria, but at that time, if I'm not wrong, Mr. Plantin, you actually, they have decided to take it back. So this is, first of all, for Hammer. So there were countries against it, and then they were in favor of it. Regarding Tuek also, I mean, it's a shame that Dr. Gadot is not here because he's the one who made a report about the blood verification. And then there were, of course, 2 hypotheses. And why you saying that you're, well, that they are facts, but I would have loved to hear Dr. Gadot to pronunciate himself about the report that he made on the stallion, and also the WAHO decision of, also I think they published a memorandum that stating that Tuek was a pure Arabian. So we have official institution, and they should actually speak about it, not ask us, because I think that we are more than, I don't know, 100, 200 people. There should be institution talking about it, and not asking each one of us, because nobody, if I speak, nobody will think that I'm objective. And it will be the same for other people, because a lot of us have a conflict of interest. So there should be institutions that should do their work, be objective about it, and having a statement, and being very clear, and informing breeders to say what is the difference. Well, for instance, in France, it's a 2-generation pedigree. In Turkey, it's 4-generation pedigree. And we should know the situation of every country and inform the breeders and the trainers and the owners, because it is essential, and we saw it this morning and during the session. The product has to be clear so we can sell it. That's how a company works, that's how institution works. If you want to succeed, as long as, and you're right, Lara, as long as there are issues, we need to solve this issue in order to improve Arabian racing. I have to say, we were mentioning champions, but nobody said, or nobody mentioned 2 names. No, Ruiz Calmori was elected 2011 as the best 4 years old and up horse, and Kifa. But nobody ever mentioned it. Why? Because we all have different views about it. We just mentioned Hammer and Tuek. Someone will mention Burning Sound. I was very surprised, and to be honest, when I went to United States and say, you know, the French bred horse. So we all have a view, but we need to rely on institutions to solve this problem, because it will enable us to just go forward. But through WAHO, national, IFA, of course.
What do you think, Mats Jemberg? You are Secretary General of IFA.
I wish our chairman was here, but as Isetta says, it needs to be institutionalized, because as soon as it is being discussed with and by people whom are presumed to have some sort of conflict of interest in the whole thing, there will never be a feeling of credibility. it will be someone goes on that side to save their own back or to not create a problem in this end, and someone goes that way because they don't want to create a problem in that end. And that is why you were talking about, what's the gentleman, the legal guy up there? Hi there. What's the English term?
Gerard Habibian, the Abu Dhabi court.
Sorry? Yeah. There is a need of some sort of outside body with no passionate strings attached.
Good call. Sir, your question.
Yes, but Matt, yes? I think also this thing also needs to be today. You are all here. You need to decide, because every time you come to the conference, you come to the same point where you say, okay, what did we do last year? So I'm sorry, this year you need to come up with a solution or no one is going out of the
gentleman in the fourth row, sir.
Hello.
Well said.
My name is Urs Eschbacher from Switzerland. I'm a small breeder, and in Switzerland we are following the WAHO rules. Probably they are correct or they are not correct, but we are following certain rules. If I want to come back to the panel discussion this morning, it was very interesting from the marketing point of view. If we want to progress in marketing the Arabian horse, we should produce heroes. I come back to this word hero. That's the problem. We have not shared common heroes. Each country has its own hero. That's our problem. If we solve that now, that we have really common heroes which are accepted by Abu Dhabi, by the United States, by Qatar, then we can go also externally and promote our heroes. I think that's the thing we should go for.
Well said. Thank you very much. Khalid?
Yeah, I think we shouldn't look to the back and to the past. Each country, in the time of their registration, they have gray things. We don't want to open that subject. American has something, the French has something, the Middle East has something. We shouldn't look to the 13 years back. I mean, I am referring to Amr. Okay, who will take the decision? He should think about the breeder and how much he spend money. WAHO, we need to respect them as a company. Okay, nobody perfect in their life. Okay, but we need to respect them as organization. They are much older than us. They are contain much experienced people than us. They can do mistake, but I am talking individual. As I am a small breeder in United Arab Emirates.
Yes.
As I am a small breeder in United Arab Emirates, I need to have clear picture. I need to plan my future, to know how I can compete with the other country. But to leave us like this in a floating, or we don't know, or in a gray area, it doesn't work.
So, okay, what do you suggest?
My suggestion that we need to respect WAHO as they are. If anybody has a problem, he should do it through...
I think somebody has to fix the sound, guys.
Yes. By the way, Jenny, you're jumping up and down
Jenny
as well. What are you doing with your microphone, Jenny?
Yes, Jenny, take your... no, your headset, your headphone.
Yes.
Is hitting the mic.
It's going bang, 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 bang. Go for it, Jenny. Hold the mic up.
He didn't finish.
He did not finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had. Khalid, I do apologize.
Yeah, she said, what is the solution? And
yes.
I said, if I have a complaint or I have doubt of the wig or any horse, name it, I should go to my registry and put my complaint, and they can take it up to WAHO, but they shouldn't take it to other society, because WAHO, they are responsible about that registration of that horse. Thank you.
And this is your suggestion?
That's it. Yep, we will.
No, I
Jenny,
think you should take it for yourself.
Jenny, just say a few words, and I'm coming back down. Jenny Hayes. Go, speak.
The horse already registered
Maybe we
in
should make an association.
You've got to speak, otherwise we're running out of time. This lady in the front.
The horse is already registered with the WAHO, but he say he's not accepted, so they're not supposed to take another breeding. It's fact, it registered already with Qatar stud book. So how? You know, you understand me? If the horse already...
Dr. Ribab, can you stand up?
If the horse already it registered with the WAHO, how now they not accepted? No, but he say we not accept now Amr. But how? The WAHO, it's already registered this horse. You cannot now say it's not.
This is good. This is good stuff.
Yes. It registered Amr, it registered with WAHO. So how now it's not?
Sir, there's a gentleman here who wants to say something in the blue shirt. Sir, over to you.
I think there are two issues. Langen Blachut.
Go for it.
Poland. There are two issues. One, the central WAHO organization has washed its hands to control the local country WAHO organizations. Therefore, there was a number of slips that went inside because they were saying if it is registered in the given country, it will be registered centrally and therefore transferred from all countries. That's number one. Number two, I think IFA has washed its hands some years ago by saying we do not need 4 or 5 generations pedigree. Therefore, those what we call today modern desert breeds, where we don't know the father, the mother, they don't have an uncle, they don't have an aunt, brother or sister, came into the registration and has been accepted. The other issue is concerning certain countries, especially in the Middle East, the WAHO books have been created sometimes and closed in 2004, but some of them have been created before even, after those, before the so-called questionable sires have covered mayors. And they were like, it was saying Amr was registered 8 years after he was living. So I think that two suggestions. One, WAHO needs a self-governing organization which will control the countries. And number two, IFA needs to propose the former system of testified 4 generations at least of horses. This is the law, for example, by Jockey Club in Turkey. And this is why some of those horses cannot run there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe Richard, can you tell us what you think is a good suggestion? Because Richard has raised the issue in the panel right now.
Richard.
I would like someone to tell me who is WAHO, and is WAHO made up of independent-minded people, or is it made up of people with vested interests?
Very good question. Could we have the answer?
Come on, Val.
Come on. Can we pass that over?
Jean-Pierre, s'il vous plaît, donnez le microphone.
Good question.
Val.
Obviously, most, but not all on the committee, on the executive committee, own horses. But they have no vested interest in the racing, only the registration of horses. And to control each country's stud book when asked to do so. The countries make their own stud books, but they have to follow the WAHO rules. Occasionally, the ministry are involved, the Ministry of Agriculture, and they have different rules, like Turkey control their stud book, and there's nothing WAHO can do against a government organisation. A bit the same as racing, you know? Yeah. So there are rules, but sometimes countries can't follow them because their own governments say they can't. But the Executive Committee of WAHO, they are just overseeing all, and I don't think they have any vested interest in what? You know, well, why would they? They have nothing to gain. They don't get paid. They don't earn money. So there's no conflict of interest in anybody on that committee. And I would just like to say, I'd just like to...
one second.
Can I finish? I would just like to correct my friend, Mr. Plantan, when he said Amr was not registered in his country of birth. He wasn't. There was no stud book in those days in Saudi Arabia. He was exported before the stud book. That's why he wasn't registered.
Thank you for explaining that. Good answer. Erwan, he's jumping up and down. Erwan, what is your reaction to that?
Erwan?
I wanted to ask a question. At the time of registration of Amr, who was in charge of Amr? Management? Somebody in charge of in WAHO or nobody?
Val, you want to answer?
It's difficult when we're on the microphone, so what are you saying?
Please, Jenny, can you give Val the microphone?
I'm asking, that's a question.
Right, we will try.
Val.
There it is.
At the time, woo, my glasses are just... At the time-
Sorry, Val,
Sorry.
you said that WOW was totally independent of any racing.
Hang on. Yes. At the time AMA was registered, I was not on the executive committee.
Okay, but now, what is the solution with WOW? Now, you are on the committee.
Yes.
So, what can you answer him after?
I don't understand his question.
Okay, Erwan, can you just please be more clear with your question? Please, Layla, give him the microphone.
What was your question again, Owen?
Well,
Who was?
I know he's...
No, I was asking a question, a general question.
A general question.
When AMR was registered in Qatar, who was in charge of registering it, and were they involved with WOW?
You have an answer, Khaled? Jean-Pierre, peut-être.
The registry. I don't know who the registrar was then.
Jean-Pierre, please. Okay. Go for it, they all work. Go for it, just stand.
I believe, if I'm not wrong, I believe Mrs. Val Bunting was in charge of Khan when the WOW was registered. Am I right?
I was, yes.
When AMER was registered, sorry.
I was in charge of UMGAN when AMA was registered, but I wasn't on the executive committee at the time.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's
So
what I
it's
wanted.
clear. So this maybe you should ask WAHO about this question.
You've been trying, Ginny Hiss, to ask will you please give her the microphone? We have 2 minutes to go before we're off air. Quickly now.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Hold your microphone up.
From 2010, there was an investigation, and it is ongoing. So on that, I'm not going to comment. What it did highlight was, as Richard Lancaster stated this morning, integrity is a high part of what we're doing to take this sport forward. We now have a situation where somebody asked the question, do the organisations stop horses from running? In the UK, we have actually last year and this year, we have looked at our regulations, taken advice from Weatherby's Ireland, Weatherby's England, and also the Animal Health Trust in regard to generations. So we have changed our rule, which actually doesn't pinpoint any particular stallion or any organisation. It literally just pinpoints what we needed to do. And this year, we've actually changed our regulations. The thoroughbred industry decided that, to be perfectly honest, they wanted us to go back to 8 generations. That's not possible. I know France is 2 generations. We're actually 2 generations, and if they're parent verified, we're 2 generations parent verified, and that's the stance we've taken for 2013.
Thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at the end. We have reached 1:30. That is our cut-off time. I know one of us or two of us could go on and on and on, but we've got the afternoon.
Derek,
yes, another 5 minutes.
We need
Quickly.
one thing,
Okay,
the
what's
answer.
that? Okay.
What do you want to do, guys? Give us your suggestion. What is your intention?
Guys, 2 minutes.
Because we're not leaving this room. Abu Dhabi TV will not close on us. This is your workshop. Just give us, because we will not leave this room, and you are also having questions in your brain. And
go for it.
every time you're returning back to the same story.
Sir?
Lara, I have a suggestion. I'm a young breeder from UAE. I have only 2 mares. I was planning to cover from Amr, but then when I know Amr story, he was a thoroughbred in Saudi Arabia, then he came to Qatar, then he registered in the WAHO. So many people covered from Amr, and now 2 more horses, Twig from Saudi Arabia, Burning Sand from USA. I think we need to know the truth, and we respect WAHO. We respect all the decisions for WAHO. We need the legal department in WAHO to give us the right answer and to bring, to give us the right thing if Amr is a Arabian horse, so we can continue with Amr. Otherwise, bring our money back. All these people cover from Amr and invest a lot of money. Bring them money back, and then all this problem will solve.
Jean-Pierre?
Yes. I believe that those discussions can last for many years and will not end up because, as many people have said before, you have private interests are trying to protect their own stallion. Actually, as we have said, WAHO is established since more years than any other organization for Arabian racing and Arabian horses. WAHO has actually been completely aware, and Mrs. Valbunting has confirmed it to us, Wahoo is completely aware of all the problem that has occurred with registration of horses. And they have set up a rule in order to solve those problems. And the rule that they have set up was that from 2004, any horse born after 2004 must fully be registered with ADN control, and all the horses born after 2004 should be with ADN registration and ADN checkup.
Okay.
And the horses being registered with Wahoo before 2004, before ADN was not existing for control, all the horses which has been registered with Wahoo previously are accepted because there is no other choice. And this is what Wahoo is deciding. And if IFA is trying to run outside such rule and to create different rule with the registration rules, then we are going again to end up in fight while we have actually rules that everybody can accept and that would help to solve all the problems.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pierre. I've just got to cut in because we are losing our satellite. So we have to say goodbye from Toulouse to the people who are watching around the world. These discussions will continue, but I hope you've enjoyed yourself very much indeed. By the way, we have our very special night tonight. We have got something very special. We have got the big World Arabian Horse Racing Conference Awards Gala dinner tonight in Toulouse. I hope you'll join us when we'll be dishing out the awards here in France. From all of us here in France, bye-bye.